Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, while Hillary Clinton seems to be enjoying a slight boost in support after Monday's presidential debate in New York, she's struggling to persuade young voters to rally behind her. In Colorado, which backed her rival Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary, millennials are still wrestling with how to cast their votes, as polls put Clinton neck and neck with Donald Trump. Our correspondent Kylie Morris joins us now from Boulder. Kylie?
Well, John, Colorado has been called a tipping point state. There are 9 electoral college votes here up for grabs. And in this election, which it seems will be won by the thinnest of margins, every single one of those votes counts. Now, as you mentioned, Bernie Sanders won the primary here. So there is a reservoir of support among millennials still for him. I think on the left, you can probably break the voters into 3 categories. There are those who will wholeheartedly and with joy in their hearts go and vote for Hillary Clinton. There are those who will vote for Hillary Clinton with reservations, but want to stop Donald Trump. And there are younger people who say, well, look, I feel no loyalty towards Hillary Clinton, and so for that reason, I'm simply not going to vote for her. We'll vote for a third-party candidate or a Green. If there are too many of those, that's a real problem. At the foot of the Rocky Mountains, nestled in a wilderness idyll, is the Democratic safe haven of Boulder. The midweek farmers market does a steady trade in organic produce and homemade goods. It's Hillary Clinton heartland, or at least it should be.
Want a party? Then let's take care of this planet then, okay? Yeah.
But not everyone's coming to the party. A young electorate that feels unrepresented by the two-party system, and older voters looking with nostalgia at candidates past.
Obama, he had a certain ability to get people excited. I think the fact that he was black was very exciting. The fact that she's a woman doesn't seem to be exciting. Go figure.
But there are those who value the idea of electing America's first woman president.
I definitely support her wholeheartedly, and I truly hope to God that she wins.
Loyal Democrats are worried that millennials aren't energized by Hillary in the same way as they were by Bernie Sanders. Do you think that's a realistic concern?
I think it was for a little bit, but, and I mean, this is totally based on my Facebook feed.
Yeah.
Like, people who were one time Bernie or bust are now like, all right, after watching that debate, I gotta vote for Hillary Clinton.
I was definitely one of those people. I watched the debate the other night, and she did kind of really turn my corners.
And you were Secretary of State.
But do you remember a moment in the debate where you thought, yeah, actually, now you've got my vote? That was good.
Yeah, there was a moment when Donald Trump commented on her look and her stamina.
She doesn't have the look. She doesn't have the stamina. I said she doesn't have the stamina.
As soon as he travels to 112 countries or even spends 11 hours testifying in front of a congressional committee, he can talk to me about stamina.
How she responded to that was very empowering.
So it says ask the rabbi, so I'm wondering, can I ask you anything? Who's going to win the presidential election, do you think?
That you have to ask the prophet, not the rabbi.
For many young voters, Bernie Sanders was the prophet. But on the stump with Hillary yesterday, he urged them to back her.
This election is enormously important for the future of our country. It is imperative that we elect Hillary Clinton as our next president.
It's kind of like
it's all so stressful.
Got toasted marshmallows and 100 grams in there.
In the weed dispensary on Pearl Street, they're doing their best to ease election-related anxiety.
They come in here and they say, I just need something to just get away from it all. You know, please, it's so big, it's everywhere, it's on TV, it's on social media, it's what your friends are probably talking about, it's just the only time you can get away. Is if you have to smoke this to do it, please do. That's what we're here for, is to help you calm down.
The irrepressible Katie was a Bernie disciple, but she'll vote for a third party rather than Hillary. There are some Hillary supporters who would say vote for the third party will effectively help Trump. What would you say to that?
I would say don't even care what other people are saying, because your vote is for you in this country, and that's what the beauty of this country is.
Inside the Boulder bubble, the pros and cons of Hillary are still up for discussion, but beyond, Her opponent, Donald Trump, looms large on the horizon. She'll need a strong showing here to have any chance to win the state come November.
So how does she turn it around, Kylie?
Well, yes, I think clearly speaking to people yesterday, the debate really mattered. You heard a couple of young people there saying, look, they saw her, they were suddenly persuaded where they hadn't been otherwise. I think also appearing on stage with Bernie Sanders is clearly very smart. Adopting some of Bernie Sanders' policies, as she has in her campaign, is also helping. Elizabeth Warren, Michelle Obama are now taking a much more visible role on her behalf as well. I think Michelle Obama spoke out yesterday and said any vote for anyone other than Hillary Clinton is a vote for Donald Trump. So certainly people are gently feeling the pressure that they need to get behind Hillary Clinton. But as you heard from Katie, who works in the weed shop just down the road, she reserves the right to vote for a third party. There is no loyalty towards Hillary Clinton from the 75 million millennials who have a chance to cast their vote on the 9th of November. They simply want the chance to vote for a libertarian if they'd like, or a Green Party candidate if they like, and they will do that.
And Trump, what's he doing to boost his chances?
Well, Trump is coming to Colorado on Monday. He is going to spend, we understand, $2.5 million on television advertising here in Colorado between now and Election Day. So he clearly thinks that this is his state to win, which is curious given that Ted Cruz, in fact, won Colorado during the primary process. And this is the place where the Never Trump campaign actually began. He's not really the kind of candidate who would normally find support among Republicans here in Colorado. It's a much more conservative, even evangelical kind of state. So for that reason, he hasn't done well in the past, but he's turning that around. I get the sense that as we get closer to this election, with Hillary Clinton looming for Republicans, while they may have had doubts about Donald Trump in the past, they're now feeling compelled to support him. We'll have more detail on how that Trump campaign is going. We're heading to Colorado Springs and we'll have a report from there tomorrow. But for now, that's all from us, and back to you.
Kylie Morris in Colorado.
2 days after the first presidential debate, Donald Trump is apparently being advised not to wing the next one, but to prepare. And taking a leaf out of Jeremy Corbyn's approach to PMQs, he is crowdsourcing ideas in a sparkily titled Second Debate Preparation Survey, which has gone out to millions of supporters. Hillary Clinton's performance earned her a 4 percentage point fillip, but with 2 debates to go, Trump has promised to go harder on her, perhaps with more personal invective. I'm joined from Florida by senior Trump advisor A.J. Delgado, and from New York by Business Insider's Josh Barr. Good evening to both of you.
America great again.
We'll fix it together.
Well, good evening to both of you. Thank you for joining us. First of all, Josh Barrow, during the debate, when Alicia Machado, the former Miss Universe's name came up, Trump stumbled over that, and there was an issue about fat shaming again. Tell me, what impact do you think that had on the debate?
Well, I think so. This was a trap that Hillary Clinton set for Donald Trump. There had been reporting in advance of the debate that among the things that Hillary was doing for debate prep, she was consulting with a team of psychologists trying to find ways to needle Donald Trump and draw out self-damaging reactions from him. And one thing about Donald Trump is that when you criticize him, he can't let go of the thing you criticized him for, and he has to fight you back on it, even if it means fighting over an issue that he'd probably be better off not talking about at all. So this was a woman who was Miss Universe some 20 years ago, back when Donald Trump owned the pageant. She put on some weight while she was Miss Universe, and Donald Trump made a number of quite crude public comments about the weight that she had gained, calling her things like Miss Piggy and Miss Housekeeping, and brought television reporters to come watch her while she worked out trying to lose that weight. And so the next morning after the debate, instead of talking about trade and making America great again, Donald Trump ends up going around on television talking about how unfair it was to criticize him over this, and how it was terrible working with Alicia Machado when she was Miss Universe, and it was a real problem that she put on so much weight. It's a really dumb argument to be having when you're trying to run for president, but Hillary Clinton knew correctly that if she brought this up, Donald Trump would not be able to let it go.
And indeed, here he is on Fox and Friends, talking about it again.
She was a Miss Universe contestant and ultimately a winner who they had a tremendously difficult time with as Miss Universe.
Did not know that story. Well, I didn't know it either.
She was the winner, and she gained a massive amount of weight, and it was a real problem. We had a real problem. Not only that, her attitude, and we had a real problem with her. So.
Well, AJ Delgado, because you're one of Donald Trump's senior advisors here, was that, do you think, about a lack of preparedness to deal with this, and also an idea that actually it wouldn't harm him if he actually repeated the idea that she indeed had gained a lot of weight, that fat shaming?
Well, I have to push back quickly on something Josh said. He said that Mr. Trump had publicly made these crude remarks calling her Miss Piggy and Miss Housekeeping. That's actually untrue. That's simply an allegation by Miss Machado, who claims that Mr. Trump used those remarks when he was referring to her in private. In fact, Megyn Kelly of Fox News asked Miss Machado this week when she interviewed her, listen, are there any witnesses that actually heard Mr. Trump call you, quote, Miss Piggy or Miss Housekeeping? And she couldn't answer. There aren't any witnesses. So this is purely an allegation by a woman who has quite a questionable character. She apparently threatened to kill a federal judge in Venezuela, according to a judge there, and was accused of driving a getaway car in a murder attempt. So
we can't really deal with that there. And I watched that clip of, on American television, and yes, she didn't say whether or not she'd been called Miss Piggy or Latina. But what Megyn Kelly did ask her was about the eating disorder that she had and then the subsequent weight gain.
Mm-hmm.
You said as a result of what he said to you, you developed an eating disorder, bulimia, and anorexia. But you had said publicly at the time that you suffered from both of those eating disorders prior to the Miss Universe contest, and really, had come into...
No, never. Prior than Miss Universe pageant, I never.
Well, this is from
any problem before the Miss Universe.
Well, this is from the Washington Post.
That happened.
Let me just tell you.
Well, what went on there was Megyn Kelly went on there to show her the Washington Post, in which she had actually talked about her eating disorder to a journalist before the Miss Universe contest. But Josh Barrow, what about that strategy about bringing Alicia Machado? I want to move on from that in a moment, but I want to say, does there not a duty of care from the Clinton campaign of actually involving her, bouncing her into the middle of the campaign?
Well, she's been very willing to be out here and be a surrogate, and she's actually been talking some on behalf of Hillary Clinton even before this debate. I don't think that Alicia Machado has been drawn into this unwillingly, but I'd note that even AJ is getting drawn into the trap of litigating this story. Okay, so there's not tape of him calling her Miss Piggy, but there is tape of him saying things like, this is a person who really likes to eat. And there's an enormously long record of Donald Trump talking in a crude, cruel way about the physical appearance of women, not just in the context of beauty pageants, even Carly Fiorina, his opponent in the Republican primary, who he said had an ugly face, and the wife of his opponent, Ted Cruz. He said, look at that face.
Okay, right, meaning the grimace she had on her face, it was not about her looks, Josh. Come on, you can't read that into it.
But if the fight we're having to have here is, did he cause her eating disorder, or did she already have the eating disorder when he talked to everybody about how fat she was?
We shouldn't be litigating this.
All of this goes to.
We shouldn't be.
Is this what the campaign?
But it all goes to Donald Trump's terrible character.
AJ, I mean, you're going to be advising, and you are advising Donald Trump. We know that he's going to perhaps produce different tactics for the next debate, and that he is preparing, but that actually he might go after Hillary Clinton harder. Would you advise him to go after harder on personal issues? He's getting his surrogates to talk about Bill Clinton's infidelities and her supposed enabling of it. Would you advise him to go in that direction for the next debate?
No, I believe he did perfectly in not bringing up the infidelity issues. I think we want to focus on the records. I think that's what the American public wants. And even speaking about his record on women, this is somebody who elevated to top positions in his company, women both as his chief lawyer and the chief contractor at Trump Tower in the 1980s were both women. So I'd love to see him focus on his record on a variety of issues, women, jobs, trade, foreign policy, and leave out the personal matters.
And Josh Barrow, how should Hillary play this? Because the next one is a town hall. They don't know what's coming at them. She's also got to make sure that she doesn't look too prepared.
I don't know. I don't think that she looked too prepared in the first debate. I thought it worked well for her to be so prepared. The town hall format is one that's favorable to Hillary Clinton. She has a lot of experience with it. The events in which she tends to come off best are the ones where she gets to interact directly with voters and be seen listening to them, considering their problems. She started off her political career after being First Lady with the so-called listening tour of upstate New York, which was widely mocked until it actually seemed to work pretty well in winning over voters in New York State. So I think Hillary had a pretty perfect strategy in the first debate. It does not sound from the press reports like Donald Trump has decided to prepare in a different and more effective way for this debate, and I think he's going to come in angry about the way the first debate was received, likely to try to relitigate the items from the first debate in the second debate, and I think he'll get mired again in fights over personal things. And I'd note, he congratulated himself for not bringing up Bill Clinton's marital infidelities. But when you say, I'm not going to talk about that, look how great it was that I didn't talk about it, and then you send talking points out to your surrogates about how to discuss Bill Clinton's marital infidelities, you don't get really any credit for not bringing that up. What you have done, in fact, is bring it up by saying over and over that you won't bring it up.
Josh, those talking points that were leaked were not written by Mr. Trump. I just want to make that clear. It's not him sending out talking points.
They're from the campaign, though, right?
But not from Mr. Trump directly.
So Mr. Trump doesn't control his campaign, AJ Delgado. He doesn't control his campaign.
He's not asking us personally to go after Hillary Clinton on her husband's infidelities, no.
Thank you both very much indeed.
Come on.
Thank you.
This idea that the actions of one's campaign staff does not count as actions on behalf of one, that's a new one I haven't heard before.
Thank you both very much indeed.